Hello and a very good evening to all of you. And as the tradition goes, we have yet another live for you. And today's live is on the key leadership skills that we need to survive in the new world. And I'm sure you must have heard me talk about team training. And a very important component of team training is actually leadership. It starts with you as the leader. And sadly, we as dentists haven't really received any formal training on leadership. Do you agree? Today, we have an expert with us who is going to actually walk us through the tried and tested methods of amazing leadership. We will discuss some principles, some best practices, and even some real life examples from his diverse experience. So I'm not going to keep the suspense going any longer, and I'm actually going to tell you who this person is. Some of you may have already heard of him. It's Mr. Ahmad Naqvi. So without further ado, let me invite Mr. Ahmad Naqvi. Hello, Ahmad. How are you?
Hi Diksha, thank you so much for having me here. I'm looking forward to our exchange today.
How has all of this been for you?
Sure,
How have you been handling your life, your business, your mindset in these tough times?
sure. So Diksha, firstly, it's been a pleasure, interacting and seeing your growth as well. And you inspire so many people in your industry to achieve a greater level of, potential that they may have.
Hopefully.
And
Thank you.
you rightly bring out the point about mindset because there's so much of challenges all around us. There's so much of negativity at times, right? And things are very unpredictable. Over there, if a person today, if a leader today, if an aspiring dentist, or if a person who has an established practice, they have a mindset of survival, they will not go very far. You today have to have the mindset of winning because only the mindset of winning will lead you to success. There's this beautiful word in Chinese, it's called VG, WEIJI, and it means
Right.
crisis in Chinese, where WEI stands for danger, but JI stands for opportunity. So in every danger, there is also opportunity, right? An opportunity for creativity, for resilience, for collaboration, and for great leaders to emerge. So I think these are some great times. And, as Warren Buffett once famously said that be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. I think this is a time for leaders to emerge.
That's amazing. I think, it's very enriching to see this sort of an outlook because we've only just gotten to the survival mindset. And, you talking about winning actually, I'm sure, empowers and motivates many people. And I think that's the only real choice we have is shifting our perspective and really start thinking that way. So I'm sure people listening today are hopefully making notes as we speak. So, how do you define opportunity in these times?
Correct. So, Diksha, we have to understand that if the entire industry is facing a challenge, that means there's also a vacuum where an unmet need of your consumer is not being met today, right?
Right.
And in history, if we go back, there are events which are known as black swan events, right? These are global pandemics, financial crisis, wars, and the corona pandemic is one such event. If you look back, these are the times where innovation is actually coming. If we have this mindset that what today we have a roadblock and nothing can happen because our customers are very concerned about coming to our practices or to our clinics, you should also understand that there are people who will have problems, who have unmet needs, and is there a smarter way to talk about it? And if you're really smart about it, if you talk about it right now, because there is vacuum, no one else is speaking, you will be known about it. You'll resonate with it. Those relationships that you build in these times to service those customers will go a long way. How you do it is you have to actually put on your creative cap and start thinking. But the ones who are able to do it will be the winners for tomorrow.
I agree, absolutely. In fact, a big part of leadership is being that change maker or being that person who takes the risk and goes goes in first, right? In fact, what I wanted us to really, discuss in depth today, because I know about your programs on leadership skills, is, what are those key leadership skills that a great leader would try to sort of embody?
Diksha, skills are like ingredients in a recipe. To become a great leader, it's like cooking all these ingredients in the right quantity at the right time, to get the final product. And I'll start
Absolutely.
with one of the key skill set, which I think is paramount for any leader. It is about finding your purpose as a leader. You know, we always knew that life is short, but COVID has taught us that life is fragile as well. So while we're doing what we're doing, we should make sure that we're doing it for right reasons. And you actually need to be the owner today of a clinic to actually have a purpose in life, right? You could be doing
Right.
any job, any activity, and still have that purpose, or as a leader, instill that purpose in your team, right?
True.
Every day that we are getting up today, are we working for the right reasons? Are we asking our team members to work for the right reason? I think that is paramount. Beyond that, I think there are a couple of other things which I'll just quickly mention, but being resilient is one, which is extremely important. Having
Right.
good core values is another. Speed and agility to adapt to change is another one. Also,
Yes.
having a constant mindset of continuously improving and being a good listener and
Right.
embracing people are some of the qualities that I would say that a leader today needs to have to win in this new world.
Absolutely. You spoke about resilience, which is also something that, but, we were never taught resilience. We were never, we never exercised those muscles, as I would put it. So, what does that really entail?
Sure. So, Diksha, I'll break this into two aspects. I'll touch upon a bit on resilience and how, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you can build resilience. But I'll
Right.
also give you guys one tip in which, because you mentioned right now that a lot of people are trying but shutting down their
Yes,
practices and things are not going
exactly my point.
as to what could be done, right? So, let me come to the resilience aspect first. Mike Tyson once said that everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. Right? And
Absolutely.
COVID has given everyone a big punch. There's no denying that. There are things which we never expected that will happen. And for an industry like the dental industry, which is a high touch industry to provide solutions, there will be definite ramifications for that.
Right.
And that's why your book right now, which is aptly titled Reset, is
Yes,
so pertinent in these times, right? Because the old way of doing things will no longer be applicable in times to come. You have to reset yourself, right? But
correct.
I'll come back to resilience. And resilience is a quality of actually bouncing back when you're faced with an adversary. When life hits you, when challenges hit you, what is
Correct.
that metal that you're made of in which you can stand back? And how do you increase that metal, right? I feel that a couple of things you could do as an individual to increase resilience. And the first thing is to increase your physical fitness. I think that is so important. If you're not physically fit, right, all the challenges and the stress that is coming towards you will weigh you down, right?
Able to handle it. Yes, absolutely. I've always been obsessed with this idea of how an employee could probably also be a good leader. Do you have any tips for that?
That's so important today, right? And I think the first step to for that is that you have to, when you're hiring someone in your team, make sure that you are very honest upfront with them as to what their roles responsibilities are and what the purpose of your organization is, right? Also allowing them a kind of an environment where they're able to achieve their potential, they're able to try different things, and they're not afraid that if they fail, their jobs are on the line. So making sure that that comforting environment is there is so important if you want your employee to think, act, and behave like a leader. And another very important thing is that you keep communicating to them that to be a leader, you actually don't require a title. You
Yes,
know, Leading without a title. That's so
that,
important, right?
that
You
is great.
the junior most person in the team, but you still have the ability to act, think like a leader, and that will only happen from top down, right?
Yes,
If the person on the top is setting that as an example, if that person is ready to listen to the feedback of the junior most person, and
true.
over of time, the entire organization will feel that, you know what, all of us are leaders. We don't have to be the owner of this company to be the leader.
Correct. So I wanted to know, how do you manage such a large group of employees? I'm sure you've only grown from there.
Sure. Sure. So, Diksha, I think one thing is very important, that no matter how large you become, right,
Yeah.
making sure that you have a one-on-one communication with every single person in your team. And
Right.
it is easier said than done, because suddenly what happens is that you start speaking more to the 10 or 15 people who are directly reporting to you, right?
Exactly.
There are a lot of people in the organization beyond that as well. So what can you do, right? For example, I do a practice where I have initiated a thing called CEO for the day, where every week randomly I take one person. It could be an intern, it could be a junior person, and they come and
Right.
sit in a place and they are the CEO for the day, right? And that for that person is obviously a great journey in their development. But
Exactly.
it is a way to get to know the person more closely, right? I really feel that my job as a leader is to build more leaders, right? And to empower them, right? You cannot micromanage. And especially in your industry, if you're micromanaging, I think you can go to a level of having a successful practice, but it will become very difficult to replicate that anywhere else, or to build it into an organization, right? So it's so important that you have a mindset of transferring your knowledge, spending time with your leaders every single week, and saying, what did you learn, what could you have done better, right? And what could we as a team do better? So having that honest conversations and having them consistently, right, is very important. Sometimes, there is more josh and less hosh, where we say we're going to do it and we end up doing it a couple of times. That's not going to help. You have to be consistent, as you said, over a period of time to really make it happen.
So that's amazing, because you know what it brings to light is the fact that you are so secure in your leadership position that you don't mind someone taking over your seat, so to speak. You know,
Right.
in dental terms, or that seat for that's reserved for the doctor, the person even cleaning it would be really careful. You know what I mean? Nobody else sits on it, or there
Right.
is a certain, like I said, a kingdom of sorts which everybody kind of rules, which I think really needs to stop. The security that comes out of the kind of leadership model that you're talking about is almost liberating to my mind. Like if I could have a dentist director for the day, oh, that would really give me a day off. First of all, I'd probably take my bag and scoot and see what happens. So I think what you're talking about, even, I mean, jokes apart, is really lets people put themselves in our shoes and understand the challenges and the responsibilities that we face as leaders, and helps us to do vice versa. So I think a great idea and a great tip, if we can actually go back and implement it in our practices come Monday morning, that'll be an interesting change of seats to see. Can you give me a personal account of one of the most challenging situations that you have faced as a leader? Because while we say all of this, we can go to work tomorrow and be the perfect leader. It will take practice. So, how did you get to where you got to, and how do you handle challenges? Probably a story that you've experienced would really help us learn better.
Diksha, I'll share a very recent story, right? Because this COVID challenge has hit everyone, right? So I'm going to share a story from COVID. But just before I share that story, I'll go back to the context of the story. When I graduated in 2007, and within 2 months, I'd left two high paying jobs to start my own company. At that time, the reason for me to start the company was to make sure that there's an environment where there's positivity and I keep my team first. I keep the people first, right? And I build a company around that, right? I'm doing digital marketing today. We're doing a lot of innovations, and tomorrow we might be doing other things. But what will remain constant is the kind of culture that I'm building. So when COVID struck us, we suddenly saw a lot of my brands in the industry pausing their marketing spends. And with that, a lot of people in our industry started laying off people. And there were
Right.
salary cuts, there are furloughs, all these things were happening. At that time, we as leaders, we took a decision where, even if we as a CEO, as a leader, don't get paid, we'll make sure that there is no layoff coming in our company, right? So we announced that publicly. We didn't give any salary cut. In fact, we're giving appraisals to the most deserving team members. And that's only these were not easy decisions, right? And I've seen so many other companies where, although they had the capacity to pay their team members, they still did it under the garb of COVID, right? Because COVID has come,
Right.
laying off. I think being true to your values and doing what is right and not what is convenient is something that will take you ahead in the long run. Right, and it's a very recent example, but I thought I'll share it because it's so it's really tricky when you're in the driver's seat and when you need to make sure that your team members are taken care of before even you are taken care of.
Absolutely, and I think what you're talking about is pretty much across industries. It's happened to us as well. Treasured team members who have been with us for years, if we haven't been able to sustain them, haven't been able to pay for them. In fact, there have been various strategies that even we've discussed, which would be, pay a little bit now, a little bit later. Try to, like what you just said was amazing, that don't pay yourself, but make sure that you are enabling the employees to be able to stay on with you is probably tangential to what is explained in business books. But I think business would only go so far. But when we talk about leadership and work culture and loyalty, it goes way beyond numbers.
True. True, true.
And
I think I'll just add, I think there's a bottom line to your bottom line. Right? Everyone talks about the bottom line. And there's a bottom line to your bottom line, and that is your culture. Right? That culture is the most beautiful thing that you're building as an entrepreneur, as a practitioner, right? And never lose that, right? Never lose that for short-term gains.
Absolutely. And how do you keep your team motivated despite conflicts and obstacles? And I think that's a very pertinent question to the times that we are in. A good leader should be able to motivate their team. And how would we do that?
I think, Diksha, it all comes back to that one magic word that we said, which is purpose, right? When you have built the entire team, have you built it for the right reasons, right?
Right.
Are you just chasing financial goals or are you chasing something greater than that? At times, in these COVID times, with my team members, we've been able to go and provide support to the people who are in need of support. And doing those kind of social good activities has also kept my team very motivated, right? Because every single day we are doing something collectively as a team, which is
Right.
beyond their work to help other people. I think that's one way to keep them motivated. Another way that I keep them motivated is that I've increased the frequency of the town halls that I used to do and the kind of virtual check-ins, right?
Okay.
Times I also do kind of virtual coffee sessions with them, which is no agenda, where I just speak to them as to what is happening in their lives virtually right now, right? So
Hmm.
making sure that you're talking to them beyond work is very important. Another thing to keep them very motivated is to make sure that you're invested with them in growing them. So talking about their growth and not just about the work that they're delivering, saying that, for example, you need to better your communication and we're going to sit with you every month to discuss how you're improving on these benchmarks and giving them training for that, right? These are great times where virtually you can empower your team to learn so many things. But are you as a leader creating a roadmap for that, to helping them learn? And if you're doing that, they'll certainly be motivated and looking forward to each and every day.
Absolutely. And I think what where you're coming from again is a very selfless position of leadership where we are actually thinking for them, and that drives them to self motivate. Because if they know my leader is thinking for me, is invested in my financial growth, is invested in my personal learning and growth, is invested in my family, they know that you actually care about who they are, what they do, who they live with, what are their pains and troubles. I think that itself is motivation enough and drives them to do things for you that you would probably not even expect them to do. They go beyond the call of duty if the humane factor is high. So to give you some real strategies, doctor, I can't see your name, but I will reply to you later as well. To give you some effective strategies, I think Emma has listed quite a few, and something that we do in our clinic is team socials, which, like you said, the coffee sessions, we used to do it outside every month, but now we tend to limit them to Zoom sessions. And there are times when we get really busy and we can't do them. But every time that we end up, actually grouping and talking non-work related things, it just infuses new energy into the entire team. And that's something that I think really promotes loyalty and really promotes, motivation. The entire morale of the team is very high. So I hope that helps you, Doctor. And and you have truly spoken very well, and also have given us such important tips that I think we will be watching this conversation a few times over to really imbibe it. And we really are grateful from the entire dental fraternity for spending this time with us. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you and look forward.
Great. Thanks a lot.